Today I'm going to be reviewing the Chris Reeve Inkosi. To start out, I'll give you some specs. It's got a 6.5 inch overall length with a 2.8 inch blade length and a 3.7 inch handle length. Its blade is 1.28 inches wide in thickness. It weighs just at 3 ounces, and here's a comparison of a Kershaw Cryo. So roughly the same length. And then a Benchmade Mini Griptilian. The mini grip is just a hair longer, probably 1/4 of an inch. The blade material is S35VN, something that Chris Reeve helped create, along with crucible powder metals. The handle is made out of titanium and it's got a bead blast finish. So does the pocket clip. The blade has a stonewash finish with a very slight hollow grind. It almost looks flat, but it's a tiny bit hollow. So I want to go over some of the details on this knife that I really like. Number one are all the micro chamfers. There's nothing on this knife that's not chamfered. Even down to the very end in there is chamfered. And it just gives a really clean look to this knife. Even micro chamfering on the inside here. You can't really tell in this video, but there is. The other thing I really like about this knife is how big the phosphor bronze washers are. You can see they almost come out to the end of that handle. Super, super smooth. Next I want to talk about the lock bar. The lock bar itself is made out of titanium. There's no insert or anything. And it has a ceramic ball impressed into it. The ceramic ball acts as a detent for the knife, and it acts as the lock face interface, or the tang interface. You see there's a little groove right there. That ball slides right into it. Now, I've seen on a couple other videos how they describe how it goes about halfway and then kind of stops. This knife has really early lockup. It looks like it's about 50% here, but it's more like 25 because that ball is right in the middle of that lock phase, of that lock bar. So this knife has really early lockup as far as I know, as far as Chris Reeve knives go, like the Sebenza 25. The other thing I really like about this knife are how clean the hardware look. Just simple. Stainless steel pivot, Allen wrench, easy construction, easy disassembly, and easy reassembly. The pocket clip on this knife has great tension. It's enough that's not going to slide out, but it's not too much that's going to tear up your pants. The bead blast finish isn't exactly rough, but it does give some grip, but it's not enough to tear your pants up. So like khakis, jeans, sweats, anything that you really want to use this for, it'll be fine. The next thing I want to talk about is the price of this knife. This knife retails just around $350 to $400. I think this one, my friend got it for $375, which in my opinion is pretty expensive, especially for a knife that's less than 7 inches long. Given the blade material, the handle material, I can see easily how it's an expensive knife. By no means is it cheap. It's well made, great chamfering, great fit and finish. but in my opinion, I would not buy this knife for that price. Now, if one came on the secondary market and you could pick it up for about $300, maybe, but I still find it hard for me to carry something like this. But I will say this. The knife as a whole, with the ceramic detent, oversized washers, beautiful fit and finish, and overall great looks, make this knife for me one of my favorites that I've ever held. It really puts to, fact that Chris Reeve and Strider don't even belong on the same level. Before my friend had this knife, he had a Strider PT, which was right around the $300 range. And that knife doesn't even come close to this knife in any way. Blade material, no. Handle material, only one half of that knife was actually titanium. The pocket clip kind of sucked. This knife's awesome. Comparatively, I would way rather own this than any Strider of its size. So there you go. The Chris Reeve Inkosi. They do make a bigger one now, although I don't think it's quite the size as the Sebenza 25. Here, I'll grab mine. So here's a size comparison. Now, here's a knife that's really worth what you pay for it on the secondary market, although mine's beat up and old. But there's just a little size comparison on what you're getting. I got mine cheaper than what this Inkosi was, so for me, it's a no-brainer to go with a bigger knife. But also, I like to carry bigger knives because I feel like I can get more done with them in a short period of time. But this knife does lend itself very well to carving. Even little cuts, or you can just straight up. The edge geometry is very nice. I'm sure with an even smaller DPS you could get this knife to be hair whittling sharp, but in my opinion you don't really need a knife that sharp. I'd rather just have a nice toothy working edge. So there it is, the Chris Reeve Inkosi.